Take daily action and stop waiting for the perfect circumstance. Okay, so another reason that people have a difficult time closing their first deal is because they're too busy focusing on learning all the information, right? They're watching all the videos, they're reading all the books, they're listening to audibles, they're on podcasts, they're in Discord, they're in WAP channels now. I've learned about that. They're in school, they're doing all these things. They're consuming all this information and all this data, and they've flooded their brain with all this information. And what's happened is they've gotten confused, and now confused people do nothing. Okay, good afternoon. Out here on the West Coast, it's about 1 p.m. right now. And no, excuse me, it's about 2 p.m. right now. And out on the East Coast, it's almost going to be 5 p.m. I am going to get started in a little bit, and today we're going to be talking about how to get your very first wholesale real estate deal, or your real estate wholesale deal, however you want to call it. Okay, and before we get started, I'm going to give the algorithm just a little bit of time to kick in, to let people know. It does take a little bit of time for the notifications to kick in so that people get alerted about this. So I am committed to going live at least once per day on all of our Dispo Dragons channels for you. So if you have any questions, or you need some help on anything that is not deal specific, right? Hopefully it's just general questions where you might need some help on. I am always looking at all of the direct messages that people send me. I am trying to respond to all of them. And if you give me a general question that you might need some help on, what I'll do is I'll cover it on these lives. So once a day I will go live. Typically they're in the mornings. Today it just so hhappened that my morning was slammed, so I pushed it a little bit into the afternoon. We're going to be testing out when the highest visibility is, when we get the most viewers of these videos. But either way, look, if you send me a message and you tell me I need some help with this or this, how do I deal with this, I'll address it during one of these lives, and then that way you can get your questions answered. So for those of you who are just tuning in, today we're going to be talking about how to get your very first real estate deal, your wholesale real estate deal. Now, one of the things that I love about wholesaling real estate is that you have the opportunity to decide what you're going to do with your deals, right? So the good deals, you can say, I'm going to keep it for myself. And then the ones that aren't for you, or they don't fit within your buy box, right? Or within your investment parameters, whatever you want to call it, right? If it doesn't fit for you, you don't have to buy it. You can wholesale it and you can assign it. Okay, so a lot of the great investors happen to be some of the best wholesalers too, and it's because they have become so good at sourcing opportunities. They've gotten so good at sourcing these deals that they just pick the deals that they want for themselves, and then the ones that they don't want for themselves, then what they'll do is they'll just put a fee on top. They negotiate the best price possible, put their fee on top, and then they assign it to somebody else. So that is the benefit of being a wholesaler, is that it also makes you a very, very good investor, because you're on the front lines. You're seeing these opportunities way before anybody else. You're having the conversations with sellers way before anybody else, before it hits the MLS, before it hits the market. In some cases, before it even, the seller is even considering selling. It's just a thought in the back of their head. So anyway, today we're going to talk about how to get that elusive first deal. There are a lot of people, I see it in the posts, I get the message all the times, that have been doing this for 2 months, 3 months, a year, and they still haven't been able to get their first deal. And today we're going to break down why I feel some of these people have not been able to get their first deal, and what we're going to do to solve that. So I'm just going to wait a little while longer for anybody else that has questions or comments. When you see me look up at the top of my screen, it's because I have a vertical monitor, and I am looking at all the comments that are coming through. So, don't be offended if I'm not making 100% eye contact with you throughout the video. All right, let's move on to the first slide. One thing that I do want to share with people is that this is a video of me. This is at around 10:30 p.m. at our office working. That's my computer. That's all of the stuff that we have. You saw. So I had some clothes that were hung up by the side, and I'm going to play this again. The reason that I'm sharing that is because people don't see what goes on behind the scenes. They don't see those late nights when people are working or when they're in the office and we're out there hustling and we're burning the midnight oil. And so a lot of times people will see someone who has achieved, again, whatever level of success that they may have achieved, or whatever level of success you might think that they might have, but you're not seeing these kind of videos. You're not seeing the stuff that they're doing late at night. And this just happened to be one example of that. It's literally 9:30 p.m. at night. I'm still in the office by myself at this point. Nobody's in the office. And I'm trying to get some stuff done late at night wearing my Dispo Dragon shirt. In addition to that, one of the things that the best of the best do in any profession, not just in what we do, but they are consistently educating themselves. They are consistently sharpening the axe. They are consistently improving their skills. They are consistently pivoting as the market pivots and shifts, as the economy shifts, and as technology forces us all to shift and become better at what we do. This is a picture of Pace Morby. A lot of you already know him. He and I make eye contact, and you can see the expression that he made when I was taking that picture of him. But this is at one of his meet and greets. I am also a student of his. I've participated in a lot of their masterminds and a lot of their community events. So I just share that with you because, again, a lot of us, what we end up doing is we're all learning from each other on how to be better at our craft. For those of you who don't know who Henry Washington is, Henry Washington is also somebody that I follow, and whenever I need help with things, I'm sending these direct messages. I'm following him on Instagram. I'm doing whatever I need help with because we all need coaches and mentors. I don't even know how many hundreds of doors, and when I say doors, that means units that Henry has. So Henry has built a very, very successful real estate portfolio. On top of that, he was one of the hosts of Bigger Pockets podcasts. I don't know if he's still doing that. I think he went solo. But either way, that's just a photo of me. So what's my message to you all is that we all invest in our education, in our networks, in our communities to improve ourselves, to do better. And a lot of times people just don't see what happens behind the scenes. I invested a lot of time and money to get into those rooms. So there's masterminds, there's mentorships, there's trainings. Some of them are free. Some of these meetups are free and people still aren't going to the meetups that are in their backyards. So if you have events that are happening in your backyards, my suggestion to you is that you participate in I know, Nikki, I know the T-shirt. My suggestion to you is that you find these events and you participate in them locally. If you hear that there's these training events that are going on, you may have to fly out of town, you may have to drive out of town, you may have to do all of these things. I mean, there was a time when I was in my early 20s. I didn't have any money for gas. I had collected a whole bunch of change from jars that had been accumulating. I got into my old, I think it was like a 1990, at that time, 97 Pontiac Grand Prix, white. Tires are balding. I have one suit, a polyester black suit, and I went and paid for a real estate seminar during the weekend over in Palm Springs. Barely had enough money for gas. Went over there. I was living off of gas station tuna sandwiches, and that was really all I ate while I was there. So I had one sandwich in the morning, one sandwich at night, and I went to this real estate seminar wearing the same suit over and over again, and just furiously taking notes and just learning. So when I say that and not only I, but some of the best, we've all invested a lot of money and time to be in those rooms. We're serious, right? And we have a history to show that. So if you need help with any type of mentorship, or if you're looking to learn more about how to do this, we have a profit sharing mentorship program within our own community. You can learn more about it by going to start.dispodragons.com, start.dispodragons.com, and it's an amazing partnership between mentees and mentors. We are looking for veteran veteran closers. So if you've been in the business a while, if you have had success in in this business, if you are closing multiple deals every single month and you're still solo, look, we're looking for people to help us mentor our newer mentees, the people that are coming aboard. So visit start.dispodragons.com. Learn more about the mentorship. It's a profit mentorship program where everybody wins and we all make money closing these deals. So you literally have a closer on call, somebody on call to close all of your deals. Yes, I am one of them, but I am not the only one. There are other ones. So we'll partner you up with someone. You get together, they close your deals, and everybody makes money. Okay, so start.dispodragons.com. Now, the other thing is, I have written a book. It is called Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon. Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon. This is the book. Okay, it is on Amazon. If you have an opportunity, pick up the book. It is 400 pages of how to build this business. Some of you are readers and some of you are more auditory learners. Either way is fine. I put everything that you can think of in this book. It's over 400 pages of how to build this business. It isn't a PDF. It isn't just a blueprint. It isn't an ebook. It's a bona fide book on how to do this business. You can pick it up on Amazon. If you pick it up and you take a picture of yourself and you tag us on social media at dispodragons.com, at dispodragons.com, at dispodragons, at dispodragons, tag us on any of our social media. I will send you a code for the free Audible version of this book as well. Well, it's not free. It's worth money, but I'll give you a code so that you can get it for free. Now, I have another little contest that I like to play for the people that are just tuning in on this. Here's Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon on Amazon. There's a shortcut for it too. You can go to dove.dispodragons.com, dove.dispodragons.com. Now, behind me, my backdrop screen, I change it every time I do one of these lives, and so I'm going to do another contest today. If you can tell me what the background is behind me, directly behind me, on Instagram and on YouTube, it's a little bit different, but I'm talking about the one directly behind me. If you can tell me what that image of, where it's from, I'll send you a code for the free Audible version as well. Okay, so and I'll only do that for the first 3 that comment. But that image behind me, tell me where it is from, and I'll send you where it's located, right? And I'll send you a code so that you could download the Audible version of this book as well. All right, next slide. Here's another thing that we've discovered. Okay, so about 70% of the people that are watching our live videos and are watching our live training, 70% of them are not followers. They're not people that are following us on Instagram or on YouTube or on any of my social media handles, which means that these platforms are pushing our content out. And for those of you who are watching it, not all of you are actual subscribers or followers. So if you could do me a huge, huge favor, if you're looking at this, look, the content that we're sharing is free. The cost of admission is a like and a follow. So do me a huge favor. Please subscribe to what it is that we're doing, because what we're doing is we're curating content and information for you so that we could help you build your real estate businesses, and it just helps us and it helps me keep going. If you subscribe to it, make sure that you hit the bell icon on YouTube so that way you could get alerts anytime we go live and anytime we upload new and additional content. Same thing for Instagram. On Instagram, please give us a follow, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. It just, it helps us, and look, it gives us the motivation to keep going as well. So like and follow. I am looking at the comments right now as we speak. All right. You know what? I'm not feeling the way my hair's looking right now. Hold on. And that is what happens when you don't put any pomade or gel in it. All right, now let's talk about it. How you're going to get your first deal. How do you get your first deal as a real estate investor that happens to wholesale? I say that a lot. You are an investor first, a wholesaler second, okay? So how do you do it? Number one, I believe in the power of one. And when I say the power of one, what we're talking about is you being hyper-focused on what it is that you're doing. Focus on what you're doing. It's very easy to get shiny object syndrome in this business because there's so many different teachers, so many different leaders, so many different strategies, so many different markets, so many different Exit strategy. So many different types of buyers. So what you really want to do is if you're brand new and you haven't closed a deal yet, if you haven't closed the deal yet, then you're really going to have to hammer down and focus on just one thing, one market. Don't be bouncing around from market to market. And I've said it before, the best market is traditionally going to be the market in your backyard because it's the market that you know the best. It's the market that you can access these properties the best. It's the market where you can actually go talk to sellers physically and in person and build rapport with them and make contact with them. So the best market is traditionally going to be your backyard unless you live in a rural area. If you live in a rural area, it's probably going to be a lot more challenging. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find markets that are in a suburban or an urban market. Okay, typically. You want one tool. I don't care what strategy you're going to use. I don't care if it's going to be cold calling. I don't care if it's going to be SMS marketing. I don't care if it's you going on Facebook Marketplace. I don't care if it's you using Zillow. I don't care if it's you door knocking. Whatever it is, whatever your strategy is going to be, pick that one tool and go after it. Okay, pick that one tool that you're going to use to go after and target these sellers and become a master of it. Okay, don't bounce. Today I'm cold calling, tomorrow I'm SMS marketing, then I'm emailing, then I'm chatting, then I'm DMing. Like, just stick to one tool that you're going to use. For those of you who need data, and you're going to need data, you can visit batch.dispodragons.com, batch.dispodragons.com, so that you can get a free 7-day trial of batch leads. Okay, with batch leads you can download 10,000 leads, right? A data list of 10,000 people, and you can have them skip trace for you for free. Okay, skip tracing is included. Okay, so every month you get 10,000 leads that you can download. Visit batch.dispodragons.com. Then you're going to need to stick to one schedule. So whatever schedule it is that you are going to thank you, Nikki, for the support. I love it. Whatever schedule you're going to stick to, you got to be consistent. Okay, if it's going to be 30 minutes a day, then make it 30 minutes a day. If it's going to be an hour a day, make it an hour a day. If it's 2 hours a day, then make it 2 hours a day. Whatever it is, you're going to have to be consistent with that schedule. You can't just say today I'm going to work for about 30 minutes and then not come back to this, 2 or 3 days later, right? It's not going to work. You're not going to have any real success in this business if you don't commit to a schedule and you put it on your calendar and you say, hey, from now on, every day from 3 to 4, I'm going to work on this business every single day, and you don't deviate that. Excuse me. You don't deviate from that, okay? One schedule. Then you're going to want to pick one exit strategy. Okay, now we've talked about the different tools that you're going to use, right? So you're going to need data. If you're going to be cold calling, you're going to need a dialer, but there's batch dialer as well. If you're going to be doing SMS marketing, then you're going to need some type of tool for that, and you're still going to need data. So, the easiest and fastest way for somebody to get started is typically going to be cold calling. All right, typically. A lot of people have an aversion to cold calling. A lot of people don't want to cold call, and that's fine. If that's not what you want to do, and that's not what the strategy that you want to go after, then don't go after that. You can go after other ways. You can use Facebook marketing. You can look for all the for sale by owners on Zillow. Just whatever it is that you do, you have to, again, pick just one and really become a master of it. Now, when I say one exit strategy, you're going to have to figure out, well, what are we going for? Are we just going for cash offers? Is that all we're going to focus on right now? Is just looking for fix and flip so that I can negotiate the best price possible, so that I can put my fee on top of it, so that I can sell it to all cash buyers? That's one possible exit strategy. Am I going to be looking for subject to opportunities? And subject to opportunities are basically where I find people that have very, very little equity, that have interest rates that are attractive to investors, people that might have an FHA loan or a VA loan or even a conventional loan, so long as there isn't much equity, and you're targeting those people that have existing mortgages on the property with very little equity, and you're proposing to them that you take over the existing mortgages. You can wholesale and assign these subject to opportunities, these subject to mortgage opportunities. So again, you just have to learn that exit strategy and then decide that you're going to go after it. Are you going to go after novations? That's another exit strategy. And an innovation is basically where you're going after properties that are in between. They're not quite fix and flip properties, right? They're not damaged enough to where the seller's going to give you this massive discount, but at the same time, they're not completely rehabbed enough for them to be able to command full price on the retail market. They're the in-betweener properties, right? And these are the properties where you go to the seller and you basically propose to the seller, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, listen, I, as an investor, can give you a higher price. All I ask is that you give me the opportunity to take this property to the open market and give me reasonable access so that I can get my clients, my buyers, my end buyer, whoever that might be, into the property so they could see it. I'll handle everything. I'll handle the hiring and firing of an agent. I'll handle any possible repairs that might need to be made in order to make the buyer more interested in the property. That'll all be at my own expense. All I need from you is the ability for you to, or the authorization from you to be able to do those things and to be able to hire and fire an agent. That's typically a novation, what that looks like. And so that's another exit strategy, right? So I've just given you 3 examples of 3 different exit strategies. Typically, again, going back to what I said earlier, typically the average person is probably going to start with the easiest tool, which would be a dialer and cold calling. That's going to be one. And then their exit strategy is probably going to be cash offers. Now, does that mean that if you find someone that does want to sell, that is motivated to sell, and that they're open to the possible idea of a novation, does that mean that you're going to just discount that lead? No, not necessarily. If you ever come across someone that is highly motivated to sell and they don't necessarily fall into your exit strategy right now, that's where you're going to want to find a JV partner, a joint venture partner, or a mentor who can walk you through the other process, right? And we talked about mentorships earlier, and that's the reason that you need one, right? Because the thing is, if you're getting started and you have someone like me who's coaching you to just go after one strategy, one tool, one technique, one end buyer, and you're so hyper focused on finding those things, right? What happens when you get another opportunity that's pretty good? Well, you're going to need someone to walk you through how to get the other opportunity so that way they could help you close that deal. What most people do is they want to try to understand all of the opportunities, right? And so they become so distracted by all the different opportunities. It makes it very difficult for them to focus on just one. But all you need is a JV partner that can help you close the other one, or a mentor that can help you close the other opportunity as well. So you just need one exit strategy and one partner, one mentor. Okay. All right, don't underestimate the power of a JV partner or of a mentor, right? Don't ever underestimate that, okay? Having a JV partner and having a mentor is often the difference between someone who is successful and someone who is not successful. Does that mean that you aren't going to be successful if you don't have a JV partner or if you don't have a mentor? Absolutely not. There are plenty of people that have gone out there and they figured this thing out on their own. They've done it entirely on their own. They learned exactly what to do all on their own. Sometimes it just takes them a little bit longer. Sometimes it just costs them more money. And so the combination between the two of costing you more money and your time, that's even worse, because money you can at least make more time. You can make more money. You can't make more time, right? You can't do that. And so that's the reason you want a JV partner or a mentor. Next thing. Take daily action and stop waiting for the perfect circumstance. Okay, so another reason that people have a difficult time closing their first deal is because they're too busy focusing on learning all the information, right? They're watching all the videos. They're reading all the books. They're listening to audibles. They're on podcasts. They're in Discord. They're in WAP channels now. I've learned about that. They're in school. They're doing all these things. They're consuming all this information and all this data, and they've flooded their brain with all this information. And what's happened is they've gotten confused, and now confused people do nothing. You almost have to detox yourself from all the information that you've gotten, from all the great leaders that are out there, from all the great content that is out there. You have to detox yourself. You need like a brain enema, right? Just to get all of that stuff out, just so that way you could go back to what I said earlier, which was focus on one thing. And so people who are confusing watching this content with actually being productive, they later on they look back and they're like, I've been doing this for 3 or 4 months and I haven't gotten one deal. And when I really start to analyze what it is that they've been doing for the last 3 months, and I ask them, okay, so you've been working, you say you work about 2 to 3 hours a day. Okay, fantastic, good for you. Now during those 2 to 3 hours, what is it exactly that you're doing? And then they'll say something like, well, for about 45 minutes I'm watching videos. Okay, great. So 45 minutes you're watching videos. And then the next hour and a half, what are you doing after that? And then they'll usually say something, well, then after that I start looking at all the data. Okay, so then after that, you're looking at all the data that you've downloaded. Great. Okay, so how long does that take you? That takes me about 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, so you've watched videos for 45 minutes, then you've downloaded data for about 45 minutes, and then what do you do for the last 45 minutes? Well, for the last 45 minutes, what I'll do is I'll try to comp the data, and I'll try to see if any of them look like deals. Okay, so really what you've done is for the first 45 minutes, you've looked at videos. For the second 45 minutes, you've downloaded data. For the third 45 minutes, you've been looking at data to see, or comping data to see which one could potentially be deals, right? Now, at the end of the day, how much does that make in terms of income for us based, for what we do? Zero. Zero. Okay, we're making zero money doing all of that work. And some people are actually doing that every single day when they are actually working this. Okay, they'll spend their time watching videos, downloading data, and comping. And that's the last thing that I want you to do, okay? Right now, all I want you to do is get used to making contact with sellers and buyers. Making contact with sellers and buyers. If you're not making contact with sellers and buyers, you're not making money. Make contact with sellers and buyers. Make contacts with sellers and buyers. This is really what you should be doing, okay? So, take daily action, but I need to put an asterisk there. Your daily action should be action that is going to produce income generating activities. That's where the action should be. The action should not be on watching videos. The action should not be on downloading data. The action should not be on comping properties, okay? Your action should be on talking to sellers, talking to buyers, talking to sellers, talking to buyers. How many people did you actually make contact with? How many sellers did you make contact with? How many agents did you make contact with? If that's a strategy you're going to use, and how many buyers did you make contact with? And if for every day that you work this business, you can say it's 0, 0, 0, and you haven't made any contact with anybody, well, that's why you're not making money. That's why you haven't gotten your first deal, right? It's all about how many people have you made contact with. Okay, so the other thing that you're going to have to do is you will have to, at least at bare minimum, learn how to comp, right? I know we just talked about comping, but you're going to have to learn how to comp or get a mentor, right? So going back to what I said earlier, if you're spending all this time comping and comping deals, you'll go onto Zillow and you'll look at a house and then you want to comp it and you'll spend 45 minutes comping that deal, right? How much money did that make you? Nothing. But if you've spoken to a seller, you called that seller, you called that agent, you called whomever it might be that posted that listing, and you said, hey, John or Jane, my name is Paul. Listen, I see that this property's been sitting on the market for about 90 days. I'm a potential buyer. What can you tell me about it? And then they start to sell you on that property. And then you go through the entire script, and then you say, okay, great, let me run my numbers. I'll get back to you shortly. Can I call you back tonight, or is tomorrow a better time? And then you confirm a time and whatever, you call them back. Okay, now at least that was an income producing activity that could potentially generate you money. You've made contact with one seller now, okay? So here's what most people do. What most people do is after making contact with that seller, they'll then say, okay, now let me stop everything that I'm doing and I'm going to comp this deal and I'm going to see if it's a good deal, and then I'll try to make them an offer, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what if you had a JV partner or a mentor? Right? If it takes you 45 minutes to comp a deal, 45 minutes, right? Whereas if you had a mentor and you just send them the link, right, to that deal, or you send them the address and you tell them, hey, look, I think I got an opportunity here. How fast could you comp this? And the mentor can probably comp it in 3 to 5 minutes, right? And if it's in their backyard, they can probably comp it off the top of their heads. So if you send it to them and they comp it for you, how much more time and how much more valuable does it A, make the mentor, and does it B, make your relationship with that mentor? Much more valuable, because now you can focus on what really produces income, which is you going back out there and talking to sellers, talking to agents, talking to buyers, right? Doing the three things that make us money, right? Instead of you spending 45 minutes comping one deal. So it all goes back to what I said earlier. If you have a JV partner or a mentor and they're good at comping and they can do it in 3 to 5 minutes, why would you want to spend the whole evening trying to comp one deal after you've made contact with one person when you know you make more money just by you talking to more people, right? Or communicating. When I say talking to people, it doesn't necessarily mean on the phone. This can also happen during direct message. This can also happen through email. This can also happen through SMS marketing, text message marketing. However you communicate with a seller, agent, buyer, however well you do it, whatever strategy you're going to use, the more contacts you make, the more profitable you're going to become. That makes you more money versus you spending 45 minutes to an hour comping out a deal. Okay? Make contact with more people. I think I talked about this enough, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But if you're brand new, that's another thing that I've seen. People will say, "Well, I've been doing this for 6 months and I haven't closed my first deal yet, and I can't figure out why." Okay, so again, I ask them, "How many people do you think you're making contact with on a daily basis?" Well, I don't know. Some days I don't make contact with anybody. Okay, great. How many outbound calls are you making? How many outbound DMs are you making? How many outbound emails are you sending? How many outbound text messages are you sending? And then I get a big fat zero, zero, zero. I get nothing, zero. That was my Kevin James from King of Queens, Zerbert. Right? Sorry about that. Zero. Because they are watching videos, downloading data, comping deals. Okay? Stop that. You need to make more contact with people. Okay? Do what makes us money. Make contact with sellers, agents, buyers. Right? Let's stop with the videos, downloading data, comping. Nope. Contact sellers, agents, buyers. That's it. That's what you got to do. And lastly, you got to make more offers. Okay? You have to make more offers. You got to put your cards on the table, and you got to make offers. That's another thing that a lot of people who are brand new, they get embarrassed by or scared by. And here's the thing. All right? We've all been new. We all know what it feels like. I know what it's like to want to make an offer on something, and we don't want to make the offer too low because we're afraid of offending them. We're afraid of upsetting a seller, and then we don't want to make it too high because we don't want to lock it up, and we don't want to get into a contract that we can't really assign or sell or even buy and perform on. And so because of that fear, we don't want to make any offers. All right? So here's the secret. When you make a lot of offers, you stop caring. Right? Because you've made so many that you're not afraid of like what the outcome is going to be. You've detached yourself from what the outcome is going to be because you already know some are going to say, pound rocks. Some of them are going to say maybe, and some of them are going to say yes. So it's a numbers game. You know this. You want to just go out there and try to make as many offers as possible. Now, when I say offers, that doesn't necessarily mean a full-blown 10-page contract, okay? An offer could be a verbal offer. So if you're on the phone with John or Jane, hey, John or Jane, my name is Paul, and you go through your whole script, and then you say, hey, look, if I came in with an offer at, I don't know, 300,000, is that something that you would look at? And they may say yes, they may say no, they may say maybe. They may say pound rocks. I don't know. But the point is, that's an offer. You want to keep track of how many actual offers you are submitting on a daily basis. And those offers can be verbal. Those offers can be by text. Those offers can be by email. Those offers can be by direct message, DMs, right? It really doesn't matter. You just have to get better at making more offers and not being so concerned with what the outcome is going to be. If you are too concerned about what the outcome is going to be, it is literally because it's probably because you don't want to go out there and make contact with more people. So when you're afraid of losing an opportunity, you're afraid of losing an opportunity because you know that if you do lose that opportunity, it's going to require you to get back on the grind and to get back into prospecting mode where you're going to have to go and make contact with more people. And a lot of people don't want to do that. So instead of going out there and just making more contact with more people so that they can submit more offers, they'd rather hold on to that one prospect that they made contact with, and then they want to sit there and try to say, negotiate an offer just so that they could say they're busy or they're being productive, right? You make your offer, shoot your shot. Some people are going to say pound rocks. Some people are going to say maybe. They'll give you a counter. And some people are going to say yes. That's just the nature of this business, right? And so when you're used to doing this every single day and you're submitting offers and you're keeping track of how many offers you're actually sending out, there is no hesitation because you're like, I know that I'll just go make contact with more sellers and more buyers. Some people will say yes. Some people will say no. Some people will say, so what? And you move on, right? That's just the way it is. So you have to become comfortable making more offers. And the people that I speak to that say to me, well, I haven't closed my first deal yet and it's been 6 months. When I ask them, how many offers have you actually made? And then I'll find out after 6 months, they've only made like 2 or 3 offers. Well, bingo, you know what your problem is. You're too busy watching videos, downloading data, comping deals that you don't even have under contract with, or you've never even made contact with that seller. What I want you to do is make contact with the seller, make contact with the agent, make contact with the buyer using strategies like cold calling, SMS marketing, email marketing, or sending them direct messages through all the social media platforms that you can find them on. That's it. That's how you're going to get your first deal. This isn't rocket science here, right? It's just most people want to hide behind non-income producing activities, and then later on they're going to say that this business doesn't work, or that, these gurus are scam artists, or that they're not really making the money that they're making, right? Because they'd rather say that instead of just admitting to themselves that they're not really doing the work that is going to produce them income. They'd rather do the busy work that makes them feel like they're doing something, but it's not really producing them anything. Okay, I think that's the last slide. Oh, no, it's not. I've got one more for you. Good. Follow up. This is key. So you're going to need to follow up with people. I'm looking at the comments, so just give me a second. And I just noticed that my hair is doing the floppity flop thing again, so just bear with me. Okay, you're going to have to follow up with people. This is part of the business. Following up is a very, very, very big part of our business. Most of the time, you are not going to get sellers that are going to accept your offer on the first call. Let that sink in. There are going to be some of you that are going to be frustrated because you're going to call a seller, you're going to make them an offer, they're not going to accept it on the first call, and then you're going to say that this business doesn't work. Let me prepare you. Most sellers don't accept your offer on the first call. But Paul, I've seen all these videos with King of Closers and Super People and all these other people that wear pearls around their neck and they close them on the first call. That's not true. Okay? That's not true. That is a very small percentage of them. Okay? Most of them require a bunch of follow-up, more follow-up than you think. So I'd rather prep you for that now. You're going to have to follow up with these people. The average time, it may take 2, 3, 4 phone calls for you to follow up on a deal. You should have in your pipeline so many sellers that are there that you're just in your brain, it's business as usual. I'm going to have to call them 2 or 3 times before we actually make any type of progress. You're going to have to follow up. With your hot leads, you need to follow up with them at minimum of every 1 to 2 days with your hot leads. Okay, these are the ones that you know are going to do something. All right, now I categorize a hot lead as somebody that has given me their price, that has given me their time frame, 30, 60, 90 days, that has given me where they're going to relocate to. Right? They already know where they're moving to next, and they've told me why they want to sell. They give me those 4 points. That's uber hot. Okay, I follow up with them at least once or twice a day. Okay, I'm going to try to get a hold of them every 1 or 2 days. Your warm leads, you can follow up with them, every 3 to 4 days, and then your lost opportunities. Okay, this is another area where I see a lot of people in our profession drop the ball, the lost opportunities. So let's say you make an offer to your seller, and your seller says, that's way too low, I've got a higher offer. And you've been coached by somebody like me who has told you that once you know what your maximum allowable offer is, you do not exceed that. You stay firm. You hold the line, okay? So that seller says to you, I have another higher offer, and they go with somebody else. Well, most deals that are overpriced end up falling out anyway. And any investor that purchases it after doing inspections or running their numbers, they'll either cancel or they'll try to renegotiate the contract. Well, those deals that you lose, those are what we call lost opportunities. What I want you to do is every week or so, I want you to call that seller back. Hey, John or Jane, listen, it's Paul. I know that you went with another buyer and we weren't able to make anything work out. I just wanted to check in. Has that buyer performed yet? Did they deposit their earnest money already? Follow up week 1. Within 7 days, did they make their earnest money deposit? You'd be surprised how many of them don't do it. Okay, I don't know the percentages. I'm not going to give a percentage, but I'm just going to tell you that there are a lot of them that don't end up. Just that simple first step of making that earnest money deposit, they don't make. So number 1, do they make the earnest money deposit? They'll say yes, they'll say no. Okay, no problem, John or Jane. I appreciate you sharing that with me. I'll follow back up with you next week. You give them a call on day 14. Hey, John or Jane, just wanted to check back in. How's the deal going? You're excited. How's the deal going, right? They'll tell you how the deal is going, and the deal might be going great. For all I know, right? The buyer put the money in for earnest money, and the buyer's completing their inspection, and then the buyer might be getting ready to close, by their 3rd or 4th week, okay? 3rd week, you're going to give them a call again. Hey, John or Jane, it's Paul. Listen, I know we're getting ready to close. I just wanted to see what happened to that deal. Did that buyer end up pulling through? And you may hear something like, yeah, they're pulling through. We're closing this week. Great, no problem. That's good for them, right? Or you'll hear something like, well, the buyer actually has been saying that they're going to back out. They keep telling us that they want to renegotiate the price, or they keep telling us that the property has too many repairs, or they keep telling us that they're just not, they don't think they're going to be able to move forward anymore for whatever reason. Now you've got an opportunity. Okay, John or Jane, well, listen, I'm still interested. Let me know if that buyer cancels, or if you end up canceling and the buyer doesn't perform and there's an opportunity for me. I've been doing a really good job of keeping in touch with you. I hope you'll do the same with me. I'll give you a call next week. And then you call by the 4th week or 3rd week, whatever it might be. And now you've got your foot in the door. You would be surprised how many deals we've gotten from just lost opportunities. Just by staying on top of the seller, right, and making sure that the buyer that they're in contract with actually performs. A lot of buyers don't perform, especially when it comes to investors. For whatever reason, they just may or may not perform. And the better you are at following up with those sellers, the more likely you are to capture that business for as lost opportunities, okay? All right. Next slide. There's the background. That's what's behind me. If you can tell me what that background is and where that is, I'll send you a code. I will only do this for the first 3. I will send you the code for the first 3 people that DM me or comment on this post and video and tell me where that background is. Again, just a reminder, please, more than 70% of the people that are watching this video right now and who are enjoying this content are not fans, are not followers, are not subscribers. So please like and follow us on whatever platform you're currently seeing this on, okay? It just helps us. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the bell button so that you can get alerts anytime we go live or anytime we upload new content that we are creating and curating for you. All right. If you have any questions, if you have a deal that you need some help with and you need a second set of eyes and you just need somebody to look at it for you, if you need help with comping, please let us know. Again, we have that profit sharing mentorship, and you can go to start.dispodragons.com, start.dispodragons.com, and you can investigate more about it. We can help you with all of your deals. If you are a veteran wholesaler, a veteran investor, and you are a mentor, if you consider yourself the type of person that is a good teacher, you're a good mentor, we're looking for people that we can bring aboard and partner you up with some of our mentees that have joined our organization. We would love to do that. Please visit start.dispodragons.com or send me a direct message and we'll talk about opportunities. All right. Okay. I hope this helped everybody else. If you need any information, DM me. If there's any questions or topics that you'd love for me to cover during these live streams, send me those topics, send me those questions. I'll address them during the next live stream. All right. I'll talk to everybody soon. Take care.